Hey, this is Tom, and this is what I'm calling metering in the real world. So, what do I mean by that? Well, I am now outside, and I'm on manual mode, and I'm at ISO 400 at 2/50th of a second at 5.6. So if I push halfway down, you can see that I'm getting a correct exposure here now at 1/60th at 5.6 at 400. Let's take a picture. Okay, and then, I should have focused. Okay, now I focused, take a picture, and you can see that I'm roughly exposed there correctly for the bushes. Now, I'm gonna come over here and I'm gonna meter at the garage there, and that's telling me, need a lot more shutter speed. Okay, let's see what that looks like. And you can see that that looks a little more correctly exposed. Now, let me try sort of like this. Let's try that. I'm gonna zoom out, get a little wider field of view here. Now, you can see that that looks pretty good. That is 2500th of a second at f3.5 at 400. Now, originally when I started, I was at 5.6. That's because I was at 55 millimeters. I zoomed out to 18, and all of a sudden my aperture changed. That's one thing that can happen very easily with these variable aperture lenses. Okay, so let's put this on aperture priority, and at 18 millimeters here, I'm going to choose 5.6. Okay, so, and I'm going to go to my Q button here, and I will click over, and I'm going to go down to 100. Okay, so I'm now at ISO 100 at 5.6, and you can see that I've got a shutter speed of about, push 400th of a second is correct. Let's see, that doesn't look too bad. Now, if I'm going to click on, here's what can happen if our exposure compensation gets off a little bit. I'm going to push this up to 3. And you can see that that's overexposed. I'm going to come over here and point at the shadow area, and you can see that that's overexposed. So what's happening is, whether I'm in the shadow area or the sun, I'm overexposed by 3 stops. And even just taking a reading, no matter what, if I'm always overexposed, that's a good sign that the auto exposure compensation is off. Now, if I go to 3 stops under, and whoops, hang on here, 3 stops under, it's really dark. So we need to then, and if go over here, that's really dark too. So always want to make sure that your exposure compensation is either at 0 or maybe a 3rd stop up, and then that's going to get you, I'm going to go just a little lower here. Okay, you can see that looks better. Now, that was aperture priority. Here's shutter priority, just so you see how this works. Same way if I boost that at 200, you can see I'm getting the plus minus icon is at plus 1/3, so that I'm compensating a third of a stop. Okay, I'm going to come here into the shadow. You can see that that gave me that, and I'm at 200th of a second. It changed the aperture. I'm going to do that, and now you see how it's at 40th of a second at 6.3. So here's the thing. If you're in, it's about noon right now, so the sun's pretty bright. And if I take a picture over here of this garage, you can see that, you know, that gives you an idea of how bright it is. And if I come over here to the shadows, right, and I'm going to point in the shadows and push halfway down, it's a little, you know, you can sort of see that there. Let me just do another one. You can see how to expose for the shadows is blowing out the garage. That's okay. I'm exposing for the shadows. That may be, I can use that creatively if I want, but if I'm trying to get a correct exposure of the garage, I want to make sure I'm metering on the garage and then taking a picture. I can see it there. Now, the other thing you'll notice is when I focused, I pushed this little star button. That's called back button focusing. I want to make sure that the autofocus is turned on, and let's see, can I see in here? Well, let's see. It didn't really, you couldn't really see. But in the, there we go, right? My autofocus points, they're in the middle. It's the point in the middle. I can focus on that, and then I can recompose as long as I'm staying within the plane of focus, meaning like this. I can't go like that. I can't go like this. I can focus, take a picture, and it works. It's how I can get autofocus to work for me. So back button focusing, all the digital cameras are set up that way. Take advantage of it. Again, if you ever have any questions, feel free to reach out. And this was an example of metering in the real world. Thanks.